Prolonged worry robs you of vitality, enthusiasm, and energy and leaves you a physical and mental wreck. Psychosomatic physicians point out that chronic worry is behind numerous diseases such as asthma, allergy, cardiac trouble, high blood pressure, and a host of other illnesses too numerous to mention. The worried mind is confused, divided, and is thinking aimlessly about a lot of things which are not true. Worry can be solved, however, by the application of the law of the mind. Your problem is in your mind. You have a desire, the realization of which would solve your problem. But when you look at conditions and circumstances as they are, a negative thought comes to your mind and your desire is in conflict with your fear. Your worry is your mind's acceptance of the negative conditions. Realize that your desire is the gift of God, telling you to rise higher in life, and that there is no power to challenge God. The living Spirit Almighty within you, then affirm to yourself, God gave me this desire, and the almighty power is now backing me up, revealing to me the perfect plan for its unfoldment, and I rest in that conviction. When fear or worry thoughts come to your mind, remind yourself that God is bringing your desire, ideal plan, or purpose to pass in divine order, and continue in this attitude of mind until the day breaks and the shadows flee away. How business worry was overcome. Recently I interviewed a businessman whose doctor told him that there was nothing wrong with him physically, but that he was suffering from anxiety neurosis, which simply means chronic worry. This man told me every time I pray or think about success, prosperity, and greater wealth, I start to worry about money, my business, and the future. It's wearing me down, and I am so tired. His vision of success and prosperity was thwarted by his chronic worry, and the fretting consumed his energy fruitlessly. The way he overcame his anxiety neurosis was as follows. He began to have a quiet session with himself 3 or 4 times a day when he declared solemnly, "But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding." Job 32:8. This almighty power is within me, enabling me to be, to do, and to have. This wisdom and power of the Almighty back me up and enable me to fulfill all my goals. I think about the wisdom and power of the Almighty regularly and systematically, and I no longer think about obstacles, delays, impediments, and failure. I know that thinking constantly along these lines builds up my faith and confidence and increases my strength and poise. For God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. In about a month's time this man arrived at that awareness of the strength, power, and intelligence which were divinely implanted in him as at birth. He has conquered his worries by partaking of the spiritual medicine of cosmic wisdom. How a mother dispelled her inner fears. About a year ago, a distraught mother visited me, saying that she was terribly worried about her son in Vietnam. I gave her a specific prayer to use night and morning for herself and for her son. Subsequently, her son returned from Vietnam. He married and settled down, and she again came back to me to see, just as worried as before. I reminded her that her problem had been solved, but that she was still worried. She was worried during the second visit that he may have married the wrong girl. However, she admitted the girl was a wonderful wife. But she said, all the time I was so worried that their child might be born dead or crippled, but my daughter-in-law has given birth to a perfect child. The mother was then worried about the money shortage in her son's home. This woman was not really worried about what she thought she was worried about. Her actual difficulty was that she had an inward sense of insecurity, and she was emotionally immature. While talking to her, I was able to show her that she was the creator of her own fears, and she thereupon replaced her inner sense of insecurity with a real feeling of security. I wrote out a special prayer for her to use. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I dwell in the secret place of the Most High. This is my own mind. All the thoughts entertained by me conform to harmony, peace, and goodwill. My mind is the dwelling place of happiness, joy, and a deep sense of security. All the thoughts that enter my mind contribute to my joy, peace, and general welfare. I live, move, and have my being in the atmosphere of good fellowship, love, and unity. All the people that dwell in my mind are God's children. I am at peace in my mind with all the members of my family and with all mankind. The same good I wish for my family, I wish for my son and his family. I am living in the house of God now. I claim peace and happiness, for I know I dwell in the house of the Lord forever. She reiterated these truths frequently during the day, and these wonderful spiritual vibrations neutralized and obliterated the disease-soaked worry center in her subconscious mind. She discovered that there were spiritual reserves on which she could call to annihilate the negative thoughts. As she saturated her mind with these wonderful spiritual verities, she became possessed by a deep faith in all things good, and she is now living in a joyous expectancy of the best. A practical and workable approach to overcoming anxiety. A banker recently asked me to give him a simple, practical prayer to overcome his anxiety. I suggested that every morning before the day's work he be alone and identify himself mentally and emotionally with these truths. I live, move, and have my being in God, and God lives, moves, and has his being in me. I am immersed in the divine cosmic presence which surrounds me, enfolds me, and enwraps me. My mind is God's mind, and my spirit is the Spirit of God. This infinite being within me is the only presence and the only power. It cannot be defeated, thwarted, or frustrated in any way. It is all power and all wise, and it is present everywhere. As I unite mentally with this infinite power through my thought, I know I am greater than any problem. I grapple courageously with all difficulties and problems, knowing that they are divinely outmatched, and whatever strength, power, and creative ideas I need will automatically be given to me by the divine cosmic presence. I know the infinite lies stretched in smiling repose within me, where all is bliss, harmony, and peace. I am now in tune with the infinite, and his wisdom, power, and intelligence become active and potent in my life. This is the law of my being, and I know God's peace fills my soul. This banker understood what he was doing and why he was doing it. He said to me, as I affirm these truths, I imagine they are falling down from my conscious to my subconscious mind, and by the process of spiritual osmosis through every atom of my being. Every time I meet him in the bank, he tells me of some additional wonderful event in his life and knows of his associates. He is calm, serene, poised, and balanced. He knows that the quiet mind gets things done. How fear of auto travel was conquered. A salesman had suffered a bad auto accident and was terribly worried every time he got into his car to drive through the city. I gave him a very simple technique, explaining to him that his mind could not contain two ideas simultaneously. He could not fear his journey and bless his trip at the same time. Therefore, he had to supplant his worry with confidence and a sense of security. He began to bless his car as follows. My car is God's car. It is God's idea, and its creation came out of the one cosmic mind, common to all individual men. This guides me and directs me in all my movements. Divine law and order govern me in my driving, and I go from town to town freely, joyously and lovingly. I bless all other drivers on the road and wish for them all the blessings of life. I am an ambassador of God. I know that all the parts of my car are God's idea and are functioning perfectly. I am always poised, serene, and calm. I am always alert, alive, and quickened by the Holy Spirit. This love surrounds me and goes before me, making straight, joyous, and perfect my way. I am always surrounded by the sacred circle of love. It is truly wonderful. During the past 3 years, he has not had an accident, and he has received no citations or traffic violations. He began to fill his mind with these truths and crowded out of his mind all worry and fear thoughts which had haunted him before. He said, I made it a habit to use the prayer all the time I was on the road. I committed the whole thing to memory, and I knew the higher vibration of my spiritual thoughts would wipe out the lower vibration. This salesman is no longer worried or fearful. He knows that prayer changes things. Your invisible partner. I was in a drugstore in Detroit, and the pharmacist invited me to come back to the counter, where he showed me a sign over the prescription department. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. He added that his store had been robbed by gangsters 3 times, and he had been held up twice at gunpoint at his head. Following is the essence of his conversation. I think of that sentence of the psalm, and it falls as a blessing on my mind. I have taken God as my partner, and I claim many times during the day, God is my higher self, my senior partner. He guides me and watches over me. His power and wisdom are instantly available to me. I am not alone. Now I feel secure because I know God's circle of love surrounds the store, myself, and all my customers. The pharmacist met the problem of fear, anxiety, and worry, and he overcame it. During the past 4 years, he has had no trouble and has prospered beyond his fondest dreams. He realized that his worry was an irrational thought, and he became a straight-line thinker. How a school teacher disposed of worries. A school teacher told me that the way she overcomes all her worries is to take her worries apart. She holds them up to the light of reason, dissects them, and cuts them up into small pieces, and then she asks herself, are they real? Where do they come from? Do they have any power? Is there a principle behind them? With her cool, rational thought, she dismembers her worries and realizes they are shadows in her mind, fallacious and illusionary. Her final summation is, imagine an educated schoolteacher like myself worrying about shadows which have no reality. She concludes by laughing her fears away. Emotional spasms healed. I sent a friend of mine to see a heart specialist as he was worried that he had a bad heart. The specialist took a cardiogram and told him that his heart was normal, and that his only problem was that he suffered from emotional spasms and seemed to be unreasonably obsessed with the idea that he had a bad heart. The doctor told him that he should artfully and subtly instill in his mind the contents of the 27th Psalm until he let go of his false ideas. In a few weeks' time he broke the spasmodic grip. He practiced the great law of substitution by repeating the good idea over and over again until the mind lays hold of the truth which sets you free and serene. How worry of high blood pressure was handled. A short while ago, a man with a seemingly well-adjusted and composed personality came to see me, very worried and anxious because his personal doctor had told him his blood pressure was over 200, and that he should take it easy and relax more. He said to me, I can't take it easy, I have too much to do, and the pressure in my organization is terrible. He was really suffering from a long-mounting accumulation of petty frustration and worries. I expounded on the great truth that every fact of life is under the control and influence of the law of change. The old hymn says, change and decay all around I see. O thou who changeth not, abide with me. God changes not, and is the same yesterday, today, and forever, but all conditions, circumstances, and events are subject to alteration. Every created thing will someday pass away. The age-old maxim, this too shall pass away, is always true. I suggested that he begin to apply this truth to himself, that he could not be sick forever, that he was here to meet all problems and overcome them, and that he was mentally and spiritually equipped to do so. The first step was that he had to abstract his attention from his ailment and business difficulties and trust the creative cosmic power within, which made his body to heal and to restore him. I gave him the following spiritual prescription to take in addition to the medicine which doctor prescribed, accompanied with the suggestion that he has to assert absolutely and believe implicitly the following truth. Periodically during the day I withdraw my attention from the vexations and strife of the world, and I return to God and commune with Him. I know I am nourished spiritually and mentally, and God's peace floods my mind. God reveals to me the perfect solution and the perfect idea for every problem I meet. I reject the appearance of things, and I affirm the supremacy of the infinite power within me. I am absorbed and engrossed in the truth that God is guiding me, and that divine right action reigns supreme. The miraculous healing cosmic power is flowing through me and permeating every atom of my being. His river of peace flows through my mind and heart, and I am relaxed, poised, serene, and calm. I know the God presence which made me is now restoring me to wholeness and perfection, and I give thanks for the healing which is taking place right now. By affirming regularly many times a day in this manner, he succeeded in retrieving his sense from the annoyance and irritations of the day, and in a month's time a medical checkup revealed normal blood pressure. He discovered that his renewed mind restored his body to wholeness. When the strain and pressure of business tend to disturb him today, his motto is, none of these things move me. As he exalts cosmic wisdom and God in the midst of him, his problems have become correspondingly smaller and smaller. Nobody rubs him the wrong way or excites him, and he feels adequate through the power of God to solve all problems and to meet all challenges. He has revalued himself in terms of his inner spiritual power. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. Here is a prayer to banish chronic worry, affirmed daily with deep feeling. I have a new strong conviction of God's cosmic presence, which holds me spellbound, entranced and unmoved, and I feel serene, confident and unafraid. I know there is nothing to fear, nothing to draw away from, for God is all there is, and is everywhere present. In him I live, move, and have my being, so I have no fear. God's envelope and love surrounds me, and his golden river of peace flows through me. All is well. I am not afraid of people, conditions, or events, or circumstance, for God is with me. Faith in God fills my soul, and I have no fear. I dwell in the presence of God now and forevermore, and no fear can touch me. I am not afraid of the future, for God is with me. He is my dwelling place, and I am surrounded with the whole armor of God. God created me, and he sustains me. God's wisdom leads and guides me, so I cannot err. I now celebrate the conviction of God's presence, because I know in my heart the great truth: closer is he than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. Chapter summary. Worry is having greater faith in your problem or negation than in God and his cosmic wisdom. Worry can be released by applying the cosmic laws of mind. Worry is caused by letting your desire or your ideal war with your fear thoughts. Realize that your desire is the cosmic gift of God, and that as you nourish it and sustain it with faith and confidence, you will bring it to pass. Anxiety neurosis means chronic worry. Chronic worry comes from thinking confusedly about many things which are not true. Worry is a negative habit. Overcome your worry by realizing that the power of the Almighty within you enables you to be, to do, and to have what you need. Dwell on this truth, and the more you do so, the more will be your worries dwindle away. You are not always worried over what you think you are worried about. Remember that chronic worry is basically due to a sense of insecurity, a feel of alienation from God and his cosmic goodness. Realize that you are the creator of your worries, and you can also supplant them with ideas of cosmic wisdom. This is the great law of substitution which frees you. The supreme power within you cannot be defeated, vitiated, or thwarted in any way. It is all-powerful, and as you unite with this presence and cosmic power through your thought, this power will become active within you. You can bless your car or any means of conveyance which you use for safe travel by realizing that cosmic wisdom goes before you, making straight, joyous, happy, and peaceful your way. Realize that God is your partner, and you will fear no evil. Know that his overshadowing presence and cosmic power always watch over you, and you will lead a charmed life. Dissect your worries, hold them up to the light of cosmic reason, and you will discover that they have no reality, and are but shadows in your mind, fallacious and illusory. Laugh your worries away and stop fighting shadows. If obsessed with the idea of sickness or failure, realize you can release the mental grip by instilling artfully and persistently the great truth of the 27th Psalm, the greatest antidote to worry and fear in the world. By repetition and stick-to-itiveness, your mind will lay hold of the truth which sets you free. A great truth is that everything in the world passes away. You can't have pain forever or be sick forever. Everything changes to its opposite. This too shall pass away.
Oh.